Just look back, it's a fact. I can't be this way. My head full, no control. Well, I feel the same. All alone, no one knows that you have forever changed my life. Why did you pick me? Do you think I'm brave? After all, looking back, oh, it's me you say. As you say, you make me want to be a friend. Together we stand for what's right again, and together it all just fades away. And together there is some hope again, and together we're one enough. Surrounded and down, now I'm not afraid. After all, you made me cool appetite. I am you, you are me, and together we're the response of reality. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just fades away. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and the same. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just fades away. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one enough. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just fades away. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and the same.
Gooding Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
This magic, I know it. It is not Magus Newmite. No, I know he's dead. He has to be. Yes, it is as I have least suspected. I've fallen victim to her. Of course, she would come to avenge him. She's here. His princess bride. Hidden amongst the innocent. Pulling my strings as she spins a web of lies. The Queen of Nightmares. Magus Coincide. Now it's time for you to die.
Ahora, chicas. Vámonos. Arriba. I guess my Tex-Mex old boy Spanglish got through to them. Or maybe they were just running from the crazy dude in the mask. Probably a couple million in fentanyl here. Anyway, it won't be going to Flores Park.
Yo, 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 we got Student of God here. That was the original trailer that announced Horseman #1 from the Rippaverse. I really like that one, especially I think that's Dean Cain's voiceover. Mike,
thanks to your
Mike has bad knees, so that's a little introduction from Chuck Dixon, or at least a little commentary. But it's a bit of a slower week for the Rippaverse this week. And hail, Student of God. Hail, Mike has bad knees. Thanks for coming to the chat here. So I'm going to put this window right here. And we're going to just check in on the general state of the Rippaverse. We don't have any new collection that launched. Of course, we had Great War Separation 2 close out. ISOM #3 is in its last week. If I can add it to the stage here and remember what I'm actually doing. So ISOM #3 did hit that $600,000 benchmark, or it passed $600,000, I should say, over 10,000 books sold. So it's doing quite well. Of course, really excited for this book, not, in terms of just making a certain dollar amount. Of course, that 750K milestone be cool because we'd get that extra Dokemon card. But even regardless of that, I think this is Cliff's best work yet with the ISOM series from these preview pages that we've seen. Of course, I did read the preview of ISOM 3 in the third Ripazine, and I really liked that little bit that I read. And I was like, I want the other 140 pages or so. So this is going to be a massive conclusion to the Ill-Advised Dark, seeing what Santuan does, what Isom does, or how Isom gets himself out of the Hellion Cave, or the Devlin Cave, I should say. It's going to be really, really interesting. But of course, we don't have Isom free yet. We're getting closer to the end. All orders will ship at the end of Q2 2025, which I believe is end of June, I believe. So be a bit of a weird situation for me personally, but that's neither here nor there. So that's ISOM #3. Nothing to report other than that, like I said, that $600,000 milestone, 10,000 books sold is pretty cool to see. But the more cool thing is, of course, going to be getting the books in our hands, which should be happening quite soon. We're going to move on to Horseman #1. Of course, I just played that original Horseman #1 trailer. Over $260,000 in sales, of course, and we've got 8,900 books sold. And this one is going to be fulfilling a little bit later. It's going to be fulfilling at June. So of course, the collection's ending at the 30th of May. So that is exciting. Of course, this is a really exciting book because everybody loved Horseman Welcome to Flores Park. They got it, including myself, right? So to see this get an ongoing series so quickly and seeing that first issue come out, not even a year later, is really exciting to see. And of course, the Horseman Welcome to Flores Park had a pretty, it established a lot being a 96-pager, and the 56-pager is going to establish a lot for the ongoing series. So I'm knocking everything over on my desk. Bear with me, guys. It's been, I feel like every week's been a really crazy week for me, and I'm kind of falling apart at the seams, if I even had seams. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, the Horseman, I think, is really going to be a mainstay for the Rippaverse, especially considering that this book, just on the collection front, is going to end at probably around 10 to 15,000 books sold. I don't see it not hitting that, and it's going to get to 10,000 books sold at some point in the future after the ticker goes away. But that's, like I said before, is that these numbers here are the most important in the context of the Rippaverse, considering how many sales they have that aren't tracked. But let's see. And then, of course, we've got X'd out of it. We're going to Yaira number 3. So Yaira number 3, I believe, the most recent one that launched. Of course, we didn't even know that Yaira number 3 was going to be launching this year, and it just did. Absolutely fantastic to see. This one I've got very solidly in my hero stash. So we've got 4,400 books sold, $130,000 in total sales. Of course, with the fact that these page counts for these issues are lower than that initial 96, and the fact that with the amount of books that they're selling, they're able to get those better print rates. So $15 for that for that base edition. And of course, I believe we can go into this page, but it goes like 30 for the foil, 19 for the A and B. And of course, this is Rennie's cover. I believe Rennie was in Japan, I think at like Osaka Comic Con. Really cool to see that. So Rennie's definitely making the rounds in the indie comic scene, indicative with her own work, of course, selling Fiendish. But the fact that she did a poster for ISOM, and for the ISOM 2 campaign, did that poster, and then she did the map for Great War Separation #1, the first page, and of course she did this really fantastic cover. So if she got some interior work, that would be really cool. I don't think she would commit to anything that's like 56 pages, but if she was the artist for a short story of the Rippa scene, that would be really, really cool to see. Of course, we've got Garfield in the chat. Thanks for showing up. As always, you are much appreciated. Garfield's looking forward to Golden Patriot. I haven't gotten Golden Patriot yet. Like I've said, I've alluded to this a couple of times, but I'm moving, and this is when I'm going to it's going to be within the window. So hopefully, when I get my new address, I can switch everything I've currently got over to that, and then I can buy this like one of the first things I do, Lord willing. Everything goes well. Of course, $65,000 total sales, 2,300 books sold for the Mighty Golden Patriot. And this one looks really interesting. I think this is the best, preview page here. Absolutely fantastic. I do like Dillard's art. It looks pretty cool. I think on this, the face looks like a little bit flat, but it doesn't look bad. He's not drawing disproportionately or anything like that. And I love these I love these panel layouts, the ones that aren't exactly square, are really cool to see. Let's see if we can open this in a new tab. So, yep, there we go. I love panel layouts like this. You see how it's not perfectly square or perfectly rectangular, kind of gives it a more dynamic feel. And I just absolutely, I love the way, I believe Jack Rogers is his name, the way the guy's built. Definitely has a very heroic look to him. And of course, you've got, some pretty simplistic backgrounds, but it's going to be more or less about establishing this character in the Mighty Golden Patriot. And of course, I know Flash has got a lot of Sentai and manga inspiration. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how all that melds with the World War II setting. So, it's definitely makes sense that people are responding to this quite well. Now, this has been a project that's been on the burner it's been on the back burner for a long time. So I think people were expecting it to make $500,000 in a day. Now that's like a lightning in a bottle kind of situation. It's just not something that really happens all the time. And with the way the indie comic scene is now, with how I would say saturated it is, and of course that schism that happened in 23, I don't think you're going to see projects that make one or make that six-figure amount in one day. I think ISOM 3 did, but I think something like Golden Patriot, while it's got a lot of interest, it just doesn't have that day one interest. And the most dedicated day one buyers aren't all on board with each other for a variety of reasons, but that's not something I necessarily want to get into. Well, I think we'll get into, we got this one from, of course, Oh, we got the whole Shiloh Hendrix thing. That's not something. I'm sure that's something we'll talk about on Hump Day Potpourri. But oh my god, that's been the drama in terms of that realm. But this is a recent tweet from Edwin, and let's see. Yeah, this was today, about a little under 2 hours ago. Um, and these are the most recent numbers, because he keeps track of the numbers. So be sure to follow Edwin in the follow his Twitter, and that's where he'll post. I think it's a Kennedy. It's a blockchain social media that he has. He posts his articles. But the most impressive thing, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Open this image in a new tab. And then we'll zoom in, because there's a certain number I want to look at. And I think this is the most impressive number. These book averages per day. You see, oh yeah, the dark side of social media with that lady. Yeah, I mean, I guess my commentary on that, I think this is a psyop. That whole thing happening. If it is a genuine thing, the fact that it's getting pushed and people are responding to it, but of course we live in this era of the race war. But again, we're here to talk about comic books. I'm not here to talk about modern racial politics. God no, that's an absolute bore. But we've got this one. If you look at the book averages per day, right, in 2022 it's 172, 23 it's 157, 2024 it's 168, in 2025 it's 558. Now these numbers are not going to be accurate because it doesn't follow the or doesn't track the store sales. So of course you have all the sales that happen outside of the collections. And this has been the case since item number 1. So between item 1 and item 2 being released, there were people who were buying item number 1. It's just that those sales weren't ever tracked, and they haven't been, or at least they haven't been tracked publicly. They're tracked by by the Rippaverse internally, but that information isn't released to us. It'd be really cool if they had a section on their site where they released all that information. But of course, they're a private company; they have no obligation to do that. It would just be a really cool thing for all the people who like to look at the numbers and nerd out about them. And I think Edwin, if Edwin does watch this, he got that I in there. It's good. It's good ding and not good dying. So you got to remove that I. It's it would be E4 on this cell. But yeah, I think that's the thing, and this is just indicative that more people are getting into the Rippaverse, right? It's happening. Excel jumps there. I've been staring at spreadsheets all day at work. Today was a bit of a slower day for me. I'm my job, I'm a warehouse worker, but we do work with Excel to keep track of inventory and do pick lists and God, of shipping stuff internationally. The spreadsheet I have to fill out for that is super annoying. But anyway, yes, I understand, Marcus Esther, and I believe I haven't seen you in the chat, so really welcome to that. But yes, I do like the spreadsheets that I have for my own personal use, but it could be oh God. Microsoft Excel is definitely something that Friday evening you don't want to even have that in your mind. So I can understand. But this spreadsheet, I promise we're doing it for a very fun reason, okay? Is or a very, really cool reason. You're making the point, I'm making the point that the Rippaverse has this healthy growth about it, and it has this genuine audience that they are cultivating, and it's because it's because you make $3.7 million with item 1, about 2.3, I believe 2.3 with item number 2, and that money makes an fantastic coffer to do everything that they currently are doing, and all of these books are profitable, so it just keeps growing the coffer so they can keep releasing this content that people are responding to well, and the fans have distributed themselves amongst what they prefer. And you've already seen this happening. There are people who just want to read Yaira. There are people who just want to read Horseman. Right, I know Garfield likes Horseman a lot. Probably going to prioritize Horseman over other books. I'm not sure if someone not sure if Garfield is the best example, but the thing is just that, with Horseman, it being an ongoing series, I'm sure there are people who are going to be just into reading the Horseman, right? There are going to be people who are just into reading Ira, people who are just into reading Bloodroof. Someone like me, I'm a super fan. I read everything because I'm a fan of the Rippaverse, and I have the for now I have the means and I have the wherewithal to just throw money at everything. Garfield is the greatest example. So, greatest example of just keeping up with the Horsemen, right? That's what I said. But my point is that someone like you, if your choice for the month, right, is to buy Horseman #1, or let's say, like Horseman #3 comes out the same month that like Bloodroof #3 comes out, just to use an example, and you can only buy one book, you're going to buy Horseman because you're a bigger fan of Horseman. Not to say that you dislike Bloodroof. It's just that there's so much content being released that people have to pick and choose. And of course, especially in this economy, people are going to prioritize what they can read. Someone like me buying every cover of every book because I'm an absolute insane person is just the way I do it. But not everybody's may, and not everybody, even the people who have the financial means to do that, aren't necessarily going to do that based on their just genuine general interest. So we got Zay Comics in the chat. Be sure to check out Zay Comics. Really cool guys. Of course, I reviewed Magic Cop. I did an overview of the Lost Pages. Really good stuff. So I like what they're doing over there at Zay Comics. Definitely going to have to buy some more stuff. Or not buy. You guys sent me review copies. Very, very graciously. Very appreciative of that. But I definitely want to throw a couple bones your way at some point in the future. Definitely get into the people because I really liked the people. And I believe it was Myths of the Lost Pages. When I read that, I'm like, yeah, this character, was like, this is a really, really cool character concept. And the fact that you guys actually made more of that is really cool. But yeah, no, thanks for sending me the review copy. So I really appreciate that. And I'm glad you enjoyed the reviews. I could buy both. I only buy one book per campaign. I do get merch and cards, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you could buy both, right? But my example is that not necessarily to say that like you individually can't buy both. Is that if you're someone who's more of a fan of one series over another, and you only have X amount of money in this month to buy it, and that only covers one book, you're going to go for Horseman, and that's the situation that people are in. We're going to have some new copies of The People very soon. We are out of the first issue right now. Yeah, man, I can understand that. I know Lulu prints comic books and they do print on demand. That's what my novels, like Machine Demand, I have that through Lulu. So you can go when you go to velvetroompublishing.substack.com or just type in velvetroompublishing.com. I have it set to redirect to my Substack. And you go to buy Machine Demand from Lulu. They just print it on demand and then ship it to you. They do that with comics as well. And Lord willing, if I get into doing comics, if I make comics, then I would print through Lulu, and I do print on demand. I have Velvet Room Publishing be an actual website. Let's see. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm glad that the point is getting across. And I think this is a fantastic thing for the Rippaverse, is that there's just so much content that's available now and that's going to be available in the future because they have a fantastic release schedule. That's a fantastic thing for them to have, is this release schedule where they're basically releasing. I mean, it's been more than a campaign a month. And like, look at all these characters that you've got. I mean, you got Big Tuna here. I love Big Tuna. I think he's such an underutilized character. We'll see what happens. But the fact that he used to be in the SSWL, so you could have him coming up in the past, before the events of Welcome to Forest Park. But spoiler alert, he gets killed by Michael and Lillian, because they seem to be like the big heels for at least this first like arc of the Rippaverse, before the first big event. Of course, this is Danny. This is Hector's nephew. So he knows that he's the Horseman, and we'll see what happens for we'll see what happens with him in the future. It's like, I don't think we'll see him again. Yeah, I don't think we'll see him again in the ongoing timeline. But if we do get like an SSWL series or a book, and since he was in the SSWL, that he could very well make an appearance in that, especially if you're doing like a true origin of the SSWL, and that'd be a really cool thing for them to do. Tuna in maybe flashbacks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that You could go. It could be that his death happens before, or not, not his death. What am I saying? Is that before his death is where you could get more tuna. So we could get tuna appearing before that. But man, it's just such a. I love the character design. I loved how he acted in Welcome to Forest Park. So I think he's a bit of an underutilized character. That's something when I reviewed Horseman and Welcome to Forest Park. Mike Partakya, I cannot say his last name. That's the one thing he's like, underutilized character. He liked Horseman. Like, I think every other Rippaverse book he didn't like, which it's perfectly fine to not like a comic book. But he was like, "Oh, Horseman's underutilized." I can kind of agree with that. We've got 10 people in the chat, fantastic. So be sure to say hello if you haven't already. But we're going to be just really casual because I don't have any like super massive thing to talk about because we haven't had any big collections drop. We've had some close out. Ice and Freeze, of course, on its last week. But Ice and Free is on its last week, and I think Ice and Free is on its last week. So like next week is when Ice and Free is going to close out. But Yaira Free and of course Horseman #1 are still, they still got a lot of time. Yaira Free a bit closer to like a month and a half. Horseman is just basically the rest of this month. End of May is when this will close. Then hopefully it fulfills soon after that. It'd be nice if I got it before I went off my merry way, hit the road. Be like one of the last reviews I ever do with the current filming setup that I have. But we'll see if that happens. I did get the I Want It All for this one. So I'm getting because it's the #1. So it's nice to have that all those those glorious golden slabs, and they're like right behind me. I got my mom was so nice for me. She got me 2 collector's boxes, collector's boxes, and I filled both of them up with all of my slabs, and I still have a couple more that are in my Isom short box. So I have a ridiculous amount of slabs. But I think what I'm most proud of my collection, and Bruce. Not the Bruce who's come in this chat, but Bruce, the big Rippaverse fan, he's got a collector's edition. He's got a golden slab of the creator's edition of Isom #1. I believe signed by Gabe. I'm not sure exactly who signed it. I think it's someone who worked on Isom #1. Pretty sure it was Gabe. And he's got that. Mine is just a regular blue universal grade. And I was like, I was like for a while, I was like one of the only people who has one of those slabs. So it's a really rare book. You have to, I think they might still have a couple of those cover Ds, Isom 1 cover Ds, but you get that by becoming an Ultramech, and kind of can see it. The StreamYard watermark covering it, but I am an Ultramech, and that's how I got the Isom 1 cover D. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. So that is like that is the pride of my golden slab collection. I think basically all my slabs are Rippaverse slabs. Like I don't have any other, I don't have any slabs for any other books. And that's the thing, is that like I like to collect just to have them. So this is, I think, one of the things that I really dislike about the narratives that circle around the Rippaverse, is that the idea that like the $5 sale or making the books cheaper like somehow like devalues the books, and that like all the slabs behind me I bought as an investment. Like I can, I could have put that money into an IRA or stocks or even crypto, and I would have gotten like a meaningful return on investment. The reason why I have all these books and I spend so much money on the Rippaverse, probably too much money, is because I get value from the Rippaverse that isn't purely financial. It's not purely a monetary equation to me. And that's the thing, is that, you've got these people who say like, oh, Eric is just this, greedy grifter who just views comics books as products and a means to, scam his audience. And then these people are the ones that are saying that the $5 sale devalues their investment or the fans' investments. It's the ultimate concern troll. But that's my little rant there. But that's the whole thing, is that I think you can get value that's not purely monetary. But yeah, I mean, there's just not. Oh no, I don't think there's that. I think this is a pretty slow week, and this is like the first, I would say, slow week for the Rippaverse we've had for a while. There was one where I think like last week is when Yair relaunched, if I can remember correctly. And I thought that was going to be a slow week, but this is like the first like week where it's like, oh, something, they are dropping something. I'm sure like next week, I'm sure the beginning of this month they're going to drop something. And so I guess that's the speculation, is that, if you guys are listening to this, what do you guys think is going to drop next? I think a decent chance is we get either Black Eyed Club, or I think it would be Black Eyed Club, The Cursed, or maybe Norfolka. I'm not sure about Norfolka. I believe Norfolka started pencils or pencils, like Ronaldson started drawing the book early this year. So I'm thinking it's going to be in the fall when we get that campaign. I'm really hoping for Alpha Core 2, because you know me, I'm Alpha Core 2 is my most anticipated book. But we could get The Curse, we could get Black Eyed Club. Of course, I believe I'm going to go to the other tab here while Student of God shared that very fantastic. But I have a spreadsheet of, speaking about spreadsheets, I've got a spreadsheet for, but yeah, I don't have it bookmarked. So let's see. Yeah, but I have a spreadsheet with all the Rippaverse stuff. So I was talked about. So I'm gonna pull that up. So bear with me, guys. Of all the things I am, a good showman is definitely not one. But you guys bear with me anyway, and I appreciate you greatly for that. But we're going at Rippaverse tracker is what I called it. So I'm gonna put it there. Here we go. So we're going to go, and well, I guess for me personally. But it's nice to see this. Wow. Okay, so of course, we got Zalen, What Kills Must Die. Decent chance. I mean, it could be Salvage, right? Salvage Lethal Force be cool. And not, like I said, with the character of Salvage, it's a character I prefer to Saoirse. Like I think Salvage is a cooler character. Of course, Saoirse is just, this absolute bombshell, voluptuous redhead. We all love Saoirse. Because she's just cool and calm and collected, and of course super sexy and competent, like every like positive quality you would want in a woman. Saoirse exemplifies. But Salvage is just like, it's just this look, the fact that he's got the super hearing, he's got like the a hat like Liu Kang. Makes it just such a cool character. So I absolutely love the idea, the concept of Salvage. So I definitely want Salvage Lethal Force, and hopefully we get at least a limited series. I think Saoirse having an ongoing series is really fantastic, especially with Kanan being the interior artist for that. But having more Salvage, I think the fans are going to want more Salvage. Like they aren't going to be satisfied, Eric or Andrew, if you're listening to this, if anybody at the Rippaverse is listening to this, you're not going to be satisfied with just one Salvage, one full-length Salvage book. Garfield is thinking that Saoirse is next, and I'm thinking that that's a decent chance. We'll see. I mean, I know Kanan is. I mean, I'm not sure if Kanan is like the slowest drawer artist in term, but he does have a lot of output. So he's really good at the cover art. He's really good at the character art. So he draws a lot about stuff like that. I'm not sure how quick his page, his rate of getting pages out is. So we'll see how quickly he's getting Saoirse done, or if Saoirse is done. I think, of course, the art is always the thing that takes the longest. Salvage hasn't had a cover reveal yet. Actually, it has. So when we go to the Rippaverse, so we go to it was just the saving. But yeah, so we go to the Rippaverse, or we just go to Salvage Lethal Force. The cover was revealed. Like you see, gonna go. This is Eric just, talking about the book. If I can do, we're going to yeah. Yeah, so here you go. This is the first, and we'll go full screen. I can't necessarily go full screen on that, but we can actually just zoom in. right? And here you go. So we're showing you we did have a cover reveal for that, but we haven't had like another cover reveal, so we know that this cover, and I think Eric said with Norfolka is that they do the covers and then they do the interior art. I'm not sure if that's the truth for every single book, but I mean this is a fantastic cover. And oh yeah, Kanan, this is Kanan's cover. You can see, I can see it. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but you can see his I'm not sure if it's watermark, but his signature there, and he always signs his art like that. So yeah, that's canonically how Salvage drives around town. Yes, I am 100% for it. But yeah, this is a really cool piece of artwork by Kanan. Yeah, I agree, Marcus. It looks absolutely sick. But Kanan always, he always brings his A game when he does cover art. This is no exception here. So yeah, we did get that cover reveal. Excuse me. We did get this cover reveal for the Rippaverse. That was the last week of December 24. Or the last week of 2024. It was December 27th, 2024, if my memory serves me, which I think it is. So that is, we did get that cover reveal, but we haven't gotten anything about the salvage. We haven't gotten anything about the salvage since that point, right? Mike has bad knees is thinking Alpha Core 2 is next. It's the year of Chuck and Joe. 100% agree. So we're getting Horseman number 1. We're getting Zalon, What Kills Must Die. And then, of course, we're getting Alpha Core number 2, all in 1 year. And most likely, we're going to get Horseman number 2 probably announced this year. I'm not sure if it's going to come out this year, but we're most likely going to get the second Horseman book at some point this year. At least announced to us. I'm not sure if it will come out. That would be absolutely insane if we get Horseman number 2. But yeah, really want Alpha Core number 2. And hopefully the amount of time between Alpha Core 2 and 3 is shorter than 1 and 2. If I have to give any criticism, guys, criticism of the Rippaverse is that the amount of time between Alpha Core 1 and Alpha Core 2 is a bit unacceptable. But it's only, it's because I really love Alpha Core. And like I said, it's been my most anticipated Rippaverse book for quite a long time. So I really, really want it. And I love that ongoing series. And, you want a consistency with these ongoing series. And this is one of the things that is going to make the Rippaverse a really, really good publisher. If they, or it's what will make them a great publisher is that consistency in releases. And I think that's something that Eric is very acutely aware of, and definitely something that he's been pretty good at working at getting better. Or I should say the company, the Rippaverse, has been getting better at getting more consistently with releases. You see the amount of time between Yaira 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3 is much, much shorter between those releases. And of course, Great War Separation was like insane with the amount of time. So really, yeah, it is something that is certainly getting better, but it's not like, I don't think it's at the point where it's monthly. But of course, these are a bit bigger than monthly. So if you can get these out like every other month, that would be I think that would be fantastic, but we'll see how it works out. So Mike has bad knees. I think they should let someone else do Alpha Core to free up Joe. And that's something that I floated around to Andrew, but I mean, Joe Bennett is a workhorse, so I'm not sure if it necessarily is him doing that, but I think the thing that sidetracked Joe was doing Zalon and Horseman number 1. They prioritized that, and Alpha Core 2 got on the back burner. So that's the thing is that if Zalon gets greenlit for another, for more books, I think Joe is going to want to draw it. So Joe's just going to be, constantly churning out pages. But I think he's got the output to do 2 ongoing series. It's just that instead of working on Alpha Core 2, Chuck and Joe were working on Zalon and Horseman number 1, because Zalon getting his character off the ground and getting the Rippaverse's cosmic aspect, I think, is quite an important thing. And then Horseman did so well with Welcome to Florist, I think like $800,000. They're like they had to get that ongoing series going. So I think that's the thing. But yeah, I don't entirely disagree. It's just that I don't think Joe wants anybody to do Alpha Core. I don't think Joe wants anybody to be doing Horseman or definitely Zalon. So I think he just wants to draw everything. So it might take a little bit longer, but the quality is definitely going to be there if Joe's doing all that art, because Joe's art is fantastic. I guess we'll go back to Horseman just to show some of this art, because his art is fantastic. His 2-page spreads are really killer. Of course, absolutely love this. Is of course like part of the origin of the Horseman. Absolutely love his line work here. Of course, this was the one that people were picking apart and saying was AI generated, and then they got his raw pencils. Of course, I've commentated on his art quite a bit. I did the art of Joe Bennett. I went through that book. I believe that was like one of the older episodes of Braxcast. Because I've been doing Braxcast, the recorded, for over a year. I've been doing this for almost like 2 months, Braxcast live. So there's a lot of content of me just randomly of my rambling, my inane rambling of the Rippaverse, and some of you guys actually watch it, which I'm very grateful for. And the even weirder thing is that some of you people actually enjoy what I have to say about the Rippaverse and think it's good commentary, which I am eternally thankful for, as eternally thankful as a human being can be. But really, to drive this point home, absolutely love the art of the Horseman. So Joe is fantastic. I think you give Horseman to someone else for the interior work, it's going to be a massive downgrade in quality. Of course, the writing. I think Chuck Dixon can really handle all the writing he's doing for the Rippaverse. Of course, all the other stuff he's doing, because writing a comic book script doesn't take that long, especially in comparison to how long it takes to draw comic book pages, right? So I think having Chuck Dixon do all the work that he's doing for the Rippaverse is definitely very, very manageable. But this is the thing that I think some people are making the observation with is the fact that Joe has got a lot on his plate. But I think when I talked to Andrew, I think like 2 weeks ago about this, he was like, "Yeah, Joe can do it. He just wants, he's hungry to get all these pages out, and he's a true professional." I absolutely love to see that. But just to really, just show off, like, art's fantastic. Especially love. We'll open this new tab because I have this extension where you look at an image and it pops it up, and I've had this for like. I've had this extension, I think, called like Imagus for like probably like 10 years or so. So yeah, I love this silhouette here. Fantastic. Like, it's got that silhouette imagery. Of course, you love the bats. Of course, just the way the panel layout, like, it goes into that larger panel. Of course, I'm sure we all have the lettering for this. I'm sure Invisible Studios is going to do some fantastic work with lettering, because they always do. And they've become the letterer for the Rippaverse. Invisible Studios, of course. Item number 1 was lettered by Eric Weathers, and I think he was going to be the main letterer, but he went to do stuff independently and for other people in the indie scene. Of course, that's fine. Of course, that's always fine. But yeah, Invisible Studios, I think, is really good at lettering. So it's going to be really exciting to, of course, get the full book in our hands. I'll definitely be reviewing this one, telling you guys how it is. I absolutely love the covers, and I think the most significant cover, for one, the ones that really excited people the most. Okay, is of course this B cover here, right? Because you got Mike. Mike Smiller, Mike S. Miller's cover here. So this is the one that definitely got the most attention. And this is, of course, the cover B. This is the retro cover. Excuse me. Absolutely love the styling of the lettering on this one, right? And of course, you got, I just love, you got the Horseman, back to action, driven by revenge, right? Just the way it uses the logo to go right into that epic announcement of his character. And of course, you've got him really embroiled in a battle with a bunch of gangsters, which is like classic Horseman, right? This is Horseman. The entire premise of Horseman's character is eliminating the criminal scum of the underbelly of the city. And that's basically the point of any vigilante character, right? Is that you've got this character that's got some sort of moral impetus to eliminate the criminal underbelly because they don't think the state and legitimate peacekeepers, or quote unquote legitimate peacekeepers, are doing it correctly. And of course, you can use that as an avenue to have a lot of philosophical and political I guess, or to present the reader with these philosophical and political I don't want to say conflicts, but ideas on the very nature of vigilantism. So this is the thing. Another thing. But I think leftists love to say that all art is political, right? And I think it's a really misguided thing to say. But they cannot parse out the idea of a piece of art, whether that's a movie or a film or a book or a video game, whatever it is, any sort of entertainment, having some sort of theme that commentates on the human condition in a way that isn't didactic, in a way that isn't like telling you to believe, like you present the issue of vigilantism in a fun and entertaining way, to let the reader think on like the nature of like why Hector does what he does, right, and then the context of broader society, whereas where that's just presenting these ideas to the reader and then letting you determine what your worldview should be. The way that leftist view media and entertainment is that all art is pushing some sort of worldview, and if it is not pushing their worldview, then it is inherently problematic and it needs to go away. And that this is the reason why when they say all art is political. So if it isn't pushing what their preconceived paradigm or what their paradigm is, then it's explicitly against it and needs to go away. And this is the reason why cancel culture exists. And this is, the reason why, Rippaverse and all the other indies came into existence at, not just in comics, but in all, basically across every entertainment industry, is because you have people who want to do things that are genuinely creative. In order to do that, you cannot subscribe to that paradigm. But that's just my little commentary there. Let's see. Nothing new in the chat. We got 11 people in the chat, I should say. Very fantastic to have you guys. I guess we'll talk about Yaira Free a little bit. So we're going like 46 minutes. Haven't had much. Like I said, it's a slow week for the Rippaverse, which is a really odd thing to say. Because it's been really I'm sure next week we'll get something. Hopefully we'll get something, because that way I'll have something to talk about. But this is just nice to nerd out a little bit, have my little bit of commentary on the Rippaverse. I believe this piece of art. We'll go see if we can't find Rippaverse. Go for Rippaverse Comics, and we can go into the media. And yes, here we go. So yeah, this is one part of the preview art, and it was shown, and they posted this and showed this off. This is, of course, Yashua. I'm saying that correctly. Given the beatdown to Stefania, right? Because of course, at the end of Yaira number 2, if you read Yaira number 2, that Stefania is basically on her way to confronting Yaira after she finds out that she is not in fact dead at the events of Yaira number 1. Let's see. Caffeinated Wolf, who is Andrew, is technically on vacation, but just popping in to say hi. Very appreciative of that. Hopefully you enjoy your vacation. Definitely well deserved. Didn't you miss some topics from last week? Yeah, I mean, last week was a bit of a short week. So I kind of ran through everything quite quickly. So I didn't necessarily like miss anything. I got into the Rippaspiracies, and I don't think I did the best job about that. But we did talk about video games a little bit. So if there's any like video game related talk you want to talk about with the Rippaverse, but I can't remember anything explicitly that I missed. I think I just remember like rushing through what I was talking about. So it wasn't necessarily like me like missing it. It was just that since the launch stream for Mighty Golden Patriot, I think Mighty Golden Patriot launched last week, and then Yaira number 3 launched the week before that, if I can get my head straight, was that since Eric did that stream on Friday and it started like half an hour after mine did, kind of was talking with Rippa Guy about the Rippaspiracies, went into his theory, talked about video games for a little bit, and then I got you guys, and then I ended the stream so I could get you, because all you guys were leaving to watch Eric's stream, which is really understandable. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily me like missing it. It was just that we had someone followed me. Very, very, very fantastic. So it wasn't necessarily me missing something. It was just that I was like blazing through that, and that's the thing that I wouldn't say I missed. I just didn't, we didn't talk about it for as much as I wanted to. But yeah, it was basically talking about the video games and the Rippaspiracies, and I remember covering that. So that's what I put on the docket for that week, and we did talk about those things. It's just like I said, I cut the video game talk short because Mighty Golden Patriot launched that week or launched that day. and Eric did a stream to check in with the fans, which of course, very understandable. But if there was something else that I missed that you wanted me to talk about, I'm perfectly happy to. But from what I remember, that's how it went down. Uh, man. So we've got, like I said, just going through. We talked about Ice and Free, we talked about Horseman number 1, talked about Yaira number 3, and it's really, really cool that like Yaira Free and Ice and Free are coming out in the same year. So it's really fantastic to see Deborah and the Saskas really getting on a good production schedule. Of course, with Isom, Isom number 1 being 96 pages, Isom number 2 being like 127 or so, and then of course Isom 3 being 144. Those books take a lot longer to produce than Yaira number 2 and 3 both being 56 pages, and of course Yaira number 1 being a 96 pager. That really helps with Yaira. Getting to its third issue, because the second and third books were a lot shorter than Isom 2 and Isom 3. But we're still getting a lot of story. So like I said in Isom, my Yaira number 2 review, is that there is a lot that goes down in Yaira number 2. That's kind of the thing where like the pacing felt a little iffy to me, because there's just so much that we're packing in, and it just transitioned from like, oh, here's Yashua and Yaira as kids, and now it's back to the current day where they're underwater fighting Neptune sons. It was just like oh, man, it's a bit of whiplash, but they did it pretty well for the most part, and it's a really good setup for Yaira number 3. And as this series gets into as it matures, right, we're going to get all of this explained to us. So I'm not too critical of that in terms of this compromises the integrity of the book, because of course Deborah's art is fantastic. Like I'm showing this right here, especially the underwater scenes. I think Jay Brown is still the colorist attached to Jay Brown is still the colorist attached to Yaira. He colored see, I have the books I have a massive, this is the thing, I have a massive stack, excuse me. But yes, Jay Brown is the colorist on, let's see, on the second book, is colorist on the first book as well. And then I believe he's a colorist on the third book. I might be cutting in and out. But let's see. Here we go. We can actually see, who colored the book, but I believe it's still Jay Brown. And he did a fantastic job. You see, here we go. Colors, Jay Brown. I'm not sure if you guys can see it super well, but I can see it. So I know for a fact that Jay Brown has colored the book. He seems to be the series colorist for Yaira. He's doing fantastic work on Yaira number 3. If you read the Yaira books, the art's fantastic. Deborah's line work is so good. She's so detailed in how she renders everything. It just really draws you in. And of course, Jay Brown's colors just really tie that experience together. And he's good with the bright scenes. He's good with the dark scenes. Of course, there's a lot of underwater scenes, and he really pulls off those colors quite well. Let's see. I'd love to ask Chuck or the Saskas about similarities and differences of writing movie scripts and comics. Both Yaira books do move really fast, as the Bloodroof and Horseman read like an action movie. Yeah, that's probably something, when I interview Chuck Dixon, that's probably something I ought to have asked him, is the difference between writing novels, writing comics, and writing movies. But yeah, that's something. If I ever interview the Saskas, oh yeah, Doug Shea is in the chat. Shout out to Doug Shea. I played your video at the beginning. I played your video and then a bunch of trailers, and I love that fan video you did for the Rippaverse. You're very talented. So absolutely love to see you do that. Keep doing what you're doing, and really nice to have you in the chat. But yeah, to get back to what I was talking about with responding to Mike's comment, is that that's something that if I ever interview the Saskas on Braxcast, I want to do a recorded interview like I did for Tuck, like I did for Andrew twice, who was very gracious to come on to the channel twice. And of course, he's been on the live stream a couple of times. Absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah, no problem that you're coming a bit later. It's understandable. Yeah, and no problem. I don't mind complimenting people when they do good work. But that's that's neither here nor there. But to keep myself from going off on a tangent, I would love to interview the Oscars, and that's definitely something I really want to ask, and the differences between writing movies and writing comic book scripts. And I know they've talked about this in a bit, because with comics you don't have to worry about a budget, right? Because when you're writing a movie script, you have to worry about how much this is going to cost, how much it's going to extend principal photography, how much it's going to prop up, like if the VFX budget can even accommodate doing something like that. Yes, they were in the chat for my first live stream. I remember that now that you're mentioning it. So they followed me. So that's probably something I should like get into the DMs about. But I'm not sure how good they're responding at people. Of course, they're busy. I'm not sure, if they've got the time to, interview with me, and that is perfectly okay. I'm not this like super important person or anything. In fact, I'm probably like, in terms of like fans at the of terms of like priorities of anybody, I'm at the bottom. But that's a whole other thing. But I guess we can go and talk about the characters a little bit. And then we'll be a bit over an hour, and then I think I'll cut it off there after talking about the characters, because we've got so many characters now. Of course, we had that little leak that got resolved with the character of Harriet Silman. But we'll go into Spingy. Because everybody loves Spingy. He's got this real mascot energy about him. Alter ego, I am Kiz Til Kerhakzoth. Pipe still broke. I need more time and silk. Exiled from his hive instead of perishing, Spingy thrived. He's now found a home on the Dirty D's crew, proving that the greatest family aren't always the one you're born with, but the ones you find. That is really nice. I think that's this is a character that I can definitely see Caro having written or created, I should say. But absolutely, just I love the character design. Definitely, love its classic concept. Of like an adoptee sort of character, like this young, dare I say, spingy character, getting into like a new, or I would say getting picked up by people who are clearly more older and experienced, and shepherd him as he I guess matures, because he definitely seems to be someone who's like maybe around like 17 to 19 in terms of maturity, and he's definitely one, since he's the engineer, he's not the one who's like constantly calling the shots, right? That's I think I'll see if we can find the other two Dirty D's characters. And I know Garfield loved the Dirty D's, and I did as well. So we got Rinlin here with her mind control powers. I'll handle this telepathically. Stop, kill your comrades. So Rinlin is a sexy space psychic who will stop at nothing to serve the greater good. A childhood prodigy, she now puts her talents to the ultimate test, leading the Dirty D's crew. So she's definitely, I'd say, a leader of the Dirty D's alongside, I forget his name, if I can remember. But she's got the telepathy, she's got the mind dive, mind control, so she can control people's minds. So when Edwin and I were talking about Dirty Deeds, he was asking me, are her powers, like they're not like magic, or they are magic based, I would say. That definitely proof of that. And I'll go for, I believe we got the leader. I think name starts with like, we got Felisar here. We'll open that in a new tab and then see if we can find C A B C D. It's got Danny. Man, I'm not sure. No, Felisar. We can fix the ship. We can go back into hiding, but we can't bring back the dead. Felisar is a feisty feline fatale with a knack for thievery, claiming there is nothing he can't get his claws on. His loudmouth lands him in nearly as much trouble as it gets him out of. And of course, let's see, talent. Definitely like I guess like a cat-based character. You see, he's got the pointed ears, a bit more like an elf, but of course got the cat-like eyes. You can see those vertical pupils. The eyes of cats are able to open up very wide, and they can take in more light. So that's why cats are good at seeing in the dark. Let's see, Sulia Carr. Oh yeah, so this is our Dirty Deeds character. And of course, extremely skilled surgeon, medical expert, which comes in handy serving the careless and impulsive Dirty Deeds crew beneath her cool exterior is a caring heart for the team. So this seems to be the character that holds, is the glue that holds them together. I'm not sure being Felisar might have been. Let's see. Chris Evans is saying, power soon. See you in the fewer. Power soon. CMC in the next new week. And tomorrow, Sunday's a good day and day to you. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, but good day to you as well. And thanks for showing up to the live stream. Always fantastic. But I've been live streaming for over an hour, a bit. And it's always, always fun to do this, but I don't really have. Oh, yeah. Talk about, his name is Arad Kar, and I believe a former high-ranking officer. Arad Kar committed the ultimate crime when he was manipulated by his uncle. Now he's exiled and consumed by revenge, waiting for his chance to get even. His weapon of choice holds an awful secret. Now that is interesting. And this is something that like Caro, Evan, get on it. Start working on it. Eric, if you haven't greenlit the book already. And of course there was a survey that went out on Saturday, I believe last Saturday. So hopefully you guys answered that. Hopefully you guys have made it known that we as a community demand more Dirty Deeds, especially with this character. It's like, the awful secret behind the sword. How did his uncle manipulate him and why? I need to know now. You can't just leave me hanging like this. Come on, Carol. Come on. Get to it. I want more pages, especially Evan's art. Evan's art was fantastic. Probably some of the, like, stylistically, Evan's art is probably some of the best from the Rippaverse. It's just so, I just loved every page of that. And Mike is saying he thinks it's been greenlit. I think so as well. But that's really the commentary I've got for this episode. Of course, it's going to be something similar with the next recorded episode of Braxcast, which I'll get posted up tomorrow. I'll probably going to pick Yaira. And maybe Yaira and Bloodroof, what a possible crossover between them could be. Because someone was talking about that. I forget exactly who, and I made a tweet about that. And I think I'll talk about something like that. Oh, we got Nick Weiser here. And Pinex in here. Professor Geek says Rippaverse lacks aspirational heroes. Let's see. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think Brian Solari is pretty. I think he's pretty aspirational. He's not necessarily someone you want to follow. He's definitely, very arrogant and hot-headed. But he definitely has a pretty solid moral compass, and he's working as a lawman. And he, of course, is a war hero and everything. And for Horseman, while he is a vigilante, right? And of course, you can say that we shouldn't be encouraging people to be vigilantes. That's a whole other discussion. The reasons why Horseman's a vigilante are very aspirational to me. So I think it's a bit of a false thing to say that there's nothing aspirational about the Rippaverse or about Rippaverse characters. But I don't think I think if you're looking for a character that's exactly like Superman and as aspirational as a character like Superman is, I don't necessarily think that exists in the Rippaverse. But I don't think it needs to, right? So this is the thing, and I think if you want like Marvel and DC, the Marvel and DC formula for characters. You're not. That's not necessarily what the Rippaverse is doing. They're going about things a little bit differently, and I think that's perfectly okay. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I know John's long box doesn't like Isom, doesn't like Yaira, nonsense names to him, and that's part of the reason why he doesn't like those books are perfectly okay. But for someone like me, I'm not necessarily someone who's super invested or has a super established notion of what a superhero comic is. So, I just like the Rippaverse books because, the art's good. I like the stories. And I definitely like the universe and the plot that's getting built out. Andrew did talk about the last time he was on about a Boy Scout type of character. Yeah, that's something that the Rippaverse doesn't really solidly have. And I think it would be cool to have that. But I don't think it's the most necessary thing. And I think there definitely are aspects of characters, like I said, in Horseman and Brian Solari, they have aspirational traits about them, and and that's personally enough for me, But I think for other people, it's not going to be enough, and that's perfectly okay. And Zay Comics is going to be live in like 30 minutes. Hope to see you guys there. So I think I'm going to end this soon, a little bit soon, or probably get close to ending this because I really don't have the most amount of stuff to talk about. Of course, I could just ramble on about like history or random other things, but this is Braxcast Live. I'm supposed to talk about the Rippaverse, not chat your ears off about like the Roman Empire or Russian history. If Student God is in the chat, I think the most interesting part of Russian history is the Mongolian occupation. Of course, you had the Golden Horde, but yeah, with Temujin, that's his name before he became Genghis Khan. His empire really expanded after his death. It was his grandsons that established the Mongol Empire, as you know it, in its glorious form. And then it fell apart pretty quickly because it was more of these vassal states, and then they all got their independence, and it kind of fractured because of how large of a landmass it was. But that's a whole again, it's a whole other discussion. But yeah, if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, give my commentary on, I'll be happy to do so. But if not, I think I'm going to end things here. It's been fun. Like I said, it's definitely a slow news week for the Rippaverse, which I mean, I would say after Bloodroof #1 fulfilled. That really hasn't been the case. Like with Great War Separation 1 being announced, up until now, it's been just massive amounts of news. Of course, Nick Weiser, if you want to come in, you want to talk a little bit, I believe you have been on the show. So if you want the link, I could definitely get it to you. I'll share the link here. Since I don't think I got anybody that's going to like troll me. But that's something I want to keep in mind. But today I think you guys are cool. And I'll put the link in there. So if Nick Wise or anybody else wants to come in and have a little bit of a chat, for 20, 30 minutes, we can do that. If not, I think I am going to end things here. Of course, the VOD will be up if you guys want to watch that. But this has definitely been very rambly. Haven't really made much solid concrete points because we don't have much that's or I would say not much. Basically anything. No new collection was released this week, which is I would say not like a bad thing. Not a good thing either, just is. So you want to have some things. Let's see. So Mike Has Bad Knees is saying maybe next week, wouldn't mind joining. He's cooking dinner right now. That's okay. I definitely think that's probably it. So I'm going to cut things off here. So I'm going to go back to the solo or go to the solo layout here. But yeah, I think that has it for this episode of Braxcast Live. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. It's definitely not the most exciting or really, well, I'm not really structuring these live streams the best. But that's really all I have for you guys this week. Be sure to check in tomorrow for an episode of Braxcast, as I usually post them on Saturdays. But that's all I have for you guys. You guys have a fantastic weekend. God bless.